Welcome to this video. I'm going to use an example here. It's one that I've used many times before. I'm going to ask a question that I'm going to make up on the fly. And as I try and get an answer to that, I'm going to do some commentary on where I see natural language to um, querying language like SQL, where technology is at this point in time today. I'm recording this in April of 2025, and where this can go in the future, this technology can go in the future. So with that, I'm going to select SQL. I'm going to connect to my local SQL server that I have on my laptop here, and I'm going to ask a question. And Llama just um, released a Llama 4 model, so that's what I'm going to be using to ask a question. So my server has a bunch of different databases. One of them is the popular machine learning sort of beginners data set called Abalone. So I'm going to kind of use that. I didn't select that in the database, but hopefully it'll connect to the right table and the right database, depending on the question I ask. I'm going to say from Abalone data, tell me whether transforming the variables makes a difference in terms of accuracy when predicting the target variable, which is rings. Okay, I spelled which wrong, but that's fine. Ask that question and let's see what we get. So it's a complicated question that I'm asking. I'm asking you to do some transformations and kind of answer the question for me. And the transformation that I would think it would do is it's doing some kind of scalar transformation and performance with or without transformation. Okay, so let's execute it and see if the code actually runs or whether it gives us an error. It's applying a scaling transform. So, all right, so without scaling, that's the performance. With scaling, that's the performance, and there's some comparison differences are. So there's a bunch of numbers here, but I wanted to analyze this output for me, make sense of it. Okay, so before I go there, let me kind of talk a little bit about what's going on here. So with VerbaGPT, core part of the design is that the LLM does not have access to the data. Okay, so it cannot just iteratively run, generate code, run the code, look at the output, look at the rows of data, and give me an opinion. So this is, you can say 80% of the, or maybe, at least more than 50%, at least 75% of the reason is privacy. Like we don't want, given where the technology is, given where we've seen the LLM providers be a little squishy with the rules, just that privacy element is really important. So we don't allow LLMs to have direct access to the data. They, of course, have access to the schema. So that's the column names and stuff like that. So they can produce the code. So it can write all this code for us. So we do like that. But it can't run the code and see the results and so forth. So it can't answer my question in one go, is what I'm trying to get at. So I asked this question. You can imagine a futuristic universe where I don't even have to look at the code. I ask it a question, it does what it needs to, and it gives me the answer. We are not there today. We are not even close to being in the same zip code as there today. The models, I want to look at the code. I want to be able to read the code and see, okay, does this look like in the ballpark of what I expect it to do? And you don't even have to be an expert coder, I don't think, for some applications. For some applications, you more sensitive, you probably would want to be reviewing this more carefully. But let's say if I'm just experimenting, exploring, yeah, it kind of makes sense. What it's doing is what I asked it to do. Um, so I want to be able to look at the code. The human needs to be in the loop still. That's just where the technology is today. And maybe it'll remain there for a while. But I can choose, to feed in this output back to it and ask it to analyze it for me. So that's where this button comes in. So I'm going to press this button, analyze, and it's going to start analyzing the output and give me an answer. So what does it say? So based on the output, transforming the variables using standard scalar has negligible effect on the accuracy of the model. Okay, so it kind of answered the question for me and kind of gives me more descriptor, gives me a recommendation as well. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show this example as how we can explore data and modeling using VerbaGPT or similar tools, and also why the code doesn't auto execute. I think there are some that I think a lot of um, other tools that I've seen kind of take a similar approach. Some auto execute. I think that can work for simpler queries, but as things get a little bit more complicated or the database itself gets more complicated, you're really going to have to want to look at the code. Because in real world data sets, there are multiple columns that have a very similar semantic meaning, but it matters which of those are selected in the query to run. So anyway, more on that in the future when I show what VerbaGPT in action with some real world data sets. But till then, goodbye. And if you have any questions or recommendations or suggestions, please note them in the comments below. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.